Good afternoon, students. My name is Miss Simon Mwalwa, and I'm your tutor for learner support in natural science and health. I'm going to go through with you in order to prepare you for the 2019 exams. So this presentation is going to be for all the exams that are in 2019. So let's start with the outline. So we are going to look at the answering of the exam questions, and then we look at the general understanding that is required when you are going to face the examinations. And then, the very important, I'm going to give you my contact details so that whenever you are stuck, when you are studying, so that whenever you want to ask a question, you can always, or you feel free to contact me. But it's very important that you do it in advance, not a day before you write exam, so that at least you still have enough time to prepare for whatever we are going to discuss. Plus, it's a policy that you have to contact me at least before 2 days. Then you go write your exams. Because if you contact me within 2 days, when there's just a day before you write, I'm not supposed to attend to you. So do it well in advance. And it's also for your advantage so that you can be able to prepare on time. So let's look at the tips that I'm going to give you. So please, students, make sure you read the question carefully. Question by question. Question 1, read it carefully before you start answering so that you can fully understand it. And then, based on the questions for the exams, like this exam is 100 marks, look at the time that you need for each question so that you can manage your time, so that you can be able to finish all the questions before the time is finished. And then, the reason I put the next one in red is because it's what most of you fail to do. Most of the students fail to answer all the questions. And mind you, you leave the question blank. It's 10 marks. You leave it blank. But maybe if you try it a little bit, you will get even 2 marks. It's better. And this subject is a general subject. Even if you are not teaching yet, you can be able to imagine if they're asking me what is a conducive environment. You should be able to think that, okay, if I was even a learner in that class, what is it that I would love my class to have that I consider to motivate me to be able to study in that class? And if you are a teacher, it's even better. You will imagine, okay, if I want my students to learn, to become attracted to my class, what is it that I have to do to put in my class, to put in place, and all that? So do not leave it blank. It's a general examination. You can be able to come up with at least a reason. And even if you did not get a full mark, do not leave the question blank. Ensure you are guided by the marks allocated. Make sure that you look at the mark and then you answer the question. Because you can't tell me that 3 marks you are writing the A4 page. So look at the marks and then you answer the question. Also by the verb. If it's a listing, you just list. If it's discussing, then you give a brief discussion, a paragraph. Describe, name, look at the verbs. Go back to your modules and look at Roman 4 to 6. It will guide you on what do they mean when they say discuss or describe and all that. And then read your module. But apart from reading modules, you would also want to look at the internet. You would want to go to the libraries. You would also want to look at YouTube. It's the best. You look at other sources so that your answer, when you're going to answer, you don't have to answer what is. Sometimes it's not always what is in the module that is right. You can get something else that is easy to understand and you explain it. Because this one is a description. It's explaining how you understand. Let's start with the type of understanding that is required when you are going to write your exams. Be it April, be it August, be it November. We are just going to look at the general understanding. I'm not going to go chapter by chapter, but I'm just going to pick some of of the understanding that you would need. Some of it is based on how, when I marked your assignments, some of you is based on what usually is the concepts that you need to understand for you to be able to answer the questions based on the previous students or based on how you answered your assignment, but it's the general understanding that you need so that you can pass the examination. So it's not really topic by topic. Let's look, for example, if you come to the conducive atmosphere in the natural science and health class. Remember, this is a support that is required in the natural science and health class. So let's look at our ideal classroom environment. You need to know, if they say ideal classroom environment, that means whatever it is that made up the class, how is it going to be a conducive? How is it going to be an ideal that when the learners come in, they want to study, they want to learn more? So let's look at, for example, the facility that will be in your class. So when we look at, not in the class specifically, it can also be in the class, but here we can even look at the whole school plus the classroom. So when you are going to do your lesson, we are going to prepare your lesson. You want to know whether that school have a lab, whether that school have internet, whether that school have a library, a photocopy machine, overhead projector, and so on. So it's also what is in your class. So that when you're going to prepare for your lesson, you know, I'm going to prepare for the kids to copy on the chalkboard because I can't prepare to use an overhead projector which is not in the class or in the school. So you already know that if there is no internet and you want something that is on the internet, you can suit your lesson in a way that you know already that I can't come from here and start telling my learners, we are going to use internet today when it's not there. So it means that whatever it is that you wanted learners to do on the internet, if it's to look at the pictures or to find certain information, then you find it in advance. And then you can give work in the class based on what you find already because it's not available. There's nothing you can do to bring it at that moment when you want to teach that specific topic. And then we look at the size and composition of the class. So when you are planning for your activities, instead of the word individual, I wanted to say individual work. So the number of learners in your class would determine what type of activity are you going to give to the learners. Remember, you have 45 minutes to teach. If you have, for example, 45 learners, will you be able to give them a presentation one by one within those minutes? So if you see that, okay, this is the number of learners, when I plan my activities, if there are so many, maybe I can give them a group of 5 to do this presentation instead of individual, because then you just finish 5 of them and then the time is already over. So look at the composition also before you plan your activity. So then we look at the seating arrangement. When you talk about seating arrangement, are you going to sit them row by row? Or you are going to make them sit in groups. So you then arrange them also based on the activity that you are going to give. For example, if you want them to work together, then you know already how many learners do you and how do you put them so that they can work together. If it's individual, of course, you already know that they sit single by single in a row so that they can each quietly do their work. Let's look at the passionate side of a teacher. We talk of passion. That means that passion, that willingness, that thing in you that makes you a teacher, a great teacher. That you don't just look at the benefit in it. That you are a born teacher. You are born to teach. So you have that passion at your heart. So most of the time you look at those ones and they have those 3 key qualities that are very rare to find in just an ordinary teacher. So they usually they know what they are doing. They have the knowledge. the background knowledge of that subject. And even their personalities, they have great personal quality, and they are very professional. They have the professional skills. So if we go in detail, we can say those are the people that are teachers that are passionate, they are patient and kind, they are tolerant, they are self-disciplined, because you can't tell them that your lesson is starting now. They already know that this time I need to be here and I need to teach up to the last minute. They are very honest, humble, and very helpful. That is very important. They are very helpful. They can tell that this child needs help, and this one needs help also. So they can identify a learner that is falling behind but was performing at the beginning of the year. They can be able to pick up such things because they are passionate. They are looking forward to the next day as teachers. So some of the characteristics that we look at is the real caring for the learner's progress. They care about the learner's progress, and then they show respect, and then they accept all the learners in the class equally, and they show empathy, and they listen without interruption. If you listen to the learners, they respect you, and in return they also learn this culture, so that when they are faced with such, when they go in the world of work, they also know that for you to be listened to, you also have to listen to a person. And how do you listen to a person? Because they learned it from their teachers. So, for example, can you explain these features? If I say explain the teachers, the features of the teacher's emotional support, will you be able to answer based on those characteristics? Then you give now the details of each of those ones. I'm not saying it's a question, but I'm just asking now that we explained all these things. Can you make out what are the features of the teacher's emotional support? As we continue, so we look at the importance. For example, you have the importance and influence of human health and development to the learners. So they need to know the importance of, as they grow, as they go through these changes. What is it making in them? Because it's part of them and it's changing them. Sometimes they don't know what is going on, so they need to know. So, for example, in terms of puberty and sexual development, so this is when they grow. They start changing their emotions. They start seeing things on their body. They need to know, so that they know if this is happening. Maybe it's not so strange, because they know and they learned this in their classes. And the emotions also, you see sometimes then emotional development, some learners even become aggressive. So they need to know that sometimes it comes with the development. You can't really control it. So in a way, when they know this is happening, they will be able to deal with it and be able and then they control it, and then they know that when it's happening, it's part of development. And then we look at how a teacher can give support. As a teacher, how can you give the support that is necessary when you give the feedback to a certain task, be it a class activity, be it a test, be it a homework or a project. When you give now your feedback, how do you do it in a supportive way? How do you do it in a way that you do not shatter them, or you do not make them feel that they cannot be able to do their work? It's very important that you use the learner's name. Know your learners. Why do you just say you did well? Who is that? Peter, very good, well done. Then they know, they become proud. Peter, I know you can do better. Mary, next time you get 50 or you get 70. When you associate the feedback with their names, then they become even more confident. And then you praise for what is good. If a learner did well, just tell the learner, very good, excellent. They like that. They like those stars. They like to know that now teacher knows I did well. So praise them, so they know that the teacher is paying a particular attention to us, and for me to impress her, I even have to put more effort. And then it's very important that when you are giving them, most of the time we give them a textbook and then we write a summary on the chalkboard. So if there is internet, then there is internet. If there is no internet in the school, then you already know they can be able to go to the internet cafe. Let's tell our kids where else can they get information about a certain topic or about a certain lesson, so that they can also do research on their own, so that when they come to class, they can be able to also contribute. Even after the class, you can still tell them, and if it's a book, give the title of the book also and the author. They should know that when I'm going in the library, I'm looking for this, so that it's not so difficult for them. So you make it easy also for them and motivate them to just go straight, get the information, and then they can expand their knowledge. Let's look at the learner-centered approach. I don't know why for some reason, this is a question that you never really get students getting 100, but it's a straightforward. It's either a diagram and then explain it, or just a short to explain what learner-centered entail. So, and it's an easy concept because it's what is widely used. These days we don't teach learner by learner, or we don't teach learners like just on a chalkboard and then you explain and then they go home. These days we consider them as the driver of their own learning. That's why we use the learner-centered approach. We make sure that they are in charge of their own lesson. So when you are supposed to draw, I didn't mean to say a graph there, you are supposed to draw a diagram. You should be able to draw the diagram and then you explain it without just putting one summary. Imagine if it's 20 marks and you are just putting one paragraph after the drawing. It will not earn you 20 marks. So explain it as you were taught in, or as you have seen it in your module. If ever you come across such a question. If not, you also need to know it, because you are going to be a teacher. You are going to practice this approach. It's a must. You will come across it, because these days you can't just teach them. They have to take charge of their own teaching. Their own learning, I mean. So when you have a learner-centered approach, you have to look at the variety of things. For example, you look at the method you use within that approach, and then you look at who are the driver of this learning, and then you look at what are the things that, or the methodology that you are going to use, and what are the materials that you are going to use. So this is a cooperative learning. It encourages collaborations amongst the learners. So you are supposed to be a facilitator. So you should know this concept if you are going to be a teacher, if you are a teacher, because it's very important. And you will come across it immediately as soon as you start working. So the type of understanding continues. Reinforcement. We all know what reinforcement is. If not, this is just a behavior tool. So we use it to either encourage the behavior or to discourage the behavior, because there are behaviors that are worth encouraging. If a learner did well, for example, you should encourage that learner. If a learner is not doing well, you should find a way to discourage that learner so that they can't proceed doing that. So that's why we have the positive, the negative, and the punishment as a type of reinforcement. So if, for example, let me say a learner is doing well, so you need to give a positive reinforcement. If a learner gets 90, you can either give a reward, or you can maybe exempt learner and say, okay, when people are going for extra classes today, you are going home. It's a positive thing. But if a learner is not doing well, or is not misbehaving, or maybe you want a certain behavior to go, whether it's study related, so you have to do a negative reinforcement. That means you are going to take away what is good, so that they know that next time if I do this, I will not get this. So if a learner did not do, for example, a homework, then they already know that if I did not finish my homework, when I go to school tomorrow, when people are going for the break time, I'm punished to stay in the class and do my homework. Then they know that the break time where they're supposed to go play with the others is taken away, and they cannot be able to do that because now they have to focus on that homework to finish it. So tomorrow, the first thing they do, they finish it because they know they want to go and play with the others. So they understand the relationship between reinforcement and assessment. We have reinforcement where you are reinforcing the behavior. And then we have the assessment where you are assessing how the learner is doing. So like they're saying, the reinforcement is an event that leads to the strengthening of a certain behavior. And the assessment, if you collect the information and use it to judge, and then you make a decision. So in this regard, you can say assessment comes first and then you reinforce the behavior. So you assess first, you get the result, you get the judgment, and then you reinforce. So if it's a test, you mark it first, and then you decide how you're going to reinforce based on the result that you got from the assessment, from the test. And then we have technology in the teaching and learning process. So what is the role of technology? So technology can serve as a teaching aid. For example, you can use technology to teach. You can use internet, and then you can ask learners to maybe find a certain information based on the topic, and then it's a teaching aid that you use in your class that day. And then it gives information, extra information or new information to the teachers and learners, because it's wider than, its information is more than what is in the textbook. So it gives new information to both the teachers and the learners. So it makes learning easier because, for example, if you go on YouTube, you are listening to what the person is saying. There is a picture, you can relate, and then so it makes it easy, and then it's faster because then the learners are even just using the computer. You type in whatever you are looking for. You don't have to write on the board one by one, and then they are copying, so it's much easier. So what is the role of the learner's previous knowledge when it comes to the natural science and health class? So when the learners come to your class, they don't just come as someone that needs to be filled with everything. They already have something in their head that they learned either from home, from their environment, from the previous class, or just from amongst themselves when they are talking, when they are interacting with the others. So you have to put that in mind, so that when you are teaching, you ask them questions, so that when you let them be in charge of their learning, let them take ownership. Ask them in a way that they build on what they already know. Don't assume they don't know anything. So start your lesson in the way that you ask them first what they know, and then as you go along, before you introduce a new concept, ask them first. They will know, and they will tell you things that you might not even have thought of. So we look at the importance of planning before the lesson. Imagine I just stand up and then I start teaching. So imagine what chaotic that will be. So it's very important that a teacher prepare before the lesson. So in a way, then it provides an idea of what learners are expected to learn, because then you have objectives. So we are going to do this content and this one to answer to this objective. Then you already know what learners are supposed to learn. You know what you are supposed to assess as you go on, and you know what you are supposed to look at after the lesson when you see whether the learner has grasped the concept that you are trying to bring across. So this will also make you be respected by your learners. Imagine if you come in and then you are here, you are on this topic, you are on the other one because you did not prepare, and then you get them confused. Then they know that when you go to that teacher's class, we don't even have to look in our books because she's not a person that prepares. She does not worry. So they also come messed up in your class because you also do not prepare. So for you to earn that respect, and they know that if I have a summary today, tomorrow when I go in that class, I should be able to answer a question or two. My teacher is that prepared. Then they know they should come ready to your class. And then planning can also help you to look at the weakness and the strength. So if you can relate to the previous lesson, and then you look at how can I improve the weakness that I encountered on my last lesson. It also helps you because then you will know, okay, tomorrow I'm going to teach about this activity. I need to have these materials. Because if you did not prepare, you will not even have anything that you're going to use as a teaching aid. So when you are planning, then you put also your materials in order so that when they come, you already know that I'm going to use a worksheet, I'm going to use this paper, I'm going to use this, and so on. It looks like we've come to the end of our presentation. Like I said, it's very important you leave no question blank. It's very important that you go through your work on time so that if you have a question, you don't contact me a day or two before you write, because that will not help you. It's very important that you look at the contact details, and then I don't mind any of the two. You can even text me and then I come back to you, but I prefer you contact me, we look at the topic, we set the date, and then we can discuss telephonically, or I can respond on my email. So just some of the inspirational words that I have for you. Let your hard work prosper you to a speed so fast that not even good luck, good luck have no choice but to ride with you. Who is a winner at the end of the day? And remember, when there is a will, there is a way. And I know you will find it with this subject. And I wish you good luck with any of the examinations that you're going to partake in. I'll be waiting for your call. I'll be waiting for you to tell me, or I'll be waiting for you to pass very well your exams because you are well prepared. Other than that, thank you very much and good luck.